Hi everyone, this is Debbie. Just a reminder, I am doing my internship with a nonprofit lobbyist here in Nashville, and I am currently spending every week down at the Legislative Plaza attending committee meetings about various bills. So the last couple of weeks have been really interesting because of one piece of legislation that is being hotly debated right now. One of the clients that my supervisor lobbies for is the Tennessee chapter of the NSAW, and they are very opposed to this bill. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Essentially the issue is this. This bill, which is being referred to as the counseling bill, would allow professional counselors, marital and family therapists, and clinical pastoral therapists to be able to refuse to counsel or provide services to a client if the client's goals, outcomes, or behaviors conflict with the sincerely held religious belief of the counselor or therapist. It would protect them from any liability if they do so, and they would have to refer the client to someone else. It would not allow these practitioners to refuse to provide services to those people they have conflicts with if they are in imminent danger to oneself or others. So they would still have to provide services for them in those situations. Currently, the bill only applies to private practitioners and does not name social workers per se as part of the bill, but as we all know, social workers are often licensed counselors and therapists, so it indirectly impacts us as well. Last week I sat in on the committee when this was first being presented on the House side in a subcommittee, and the debate was very emotionally charged and the room was very full. We had a lot of people who stood up and testified in opposition to the bill, and there was one person who testified in support of the bill. The committee, which would usually last for only an hour and a half, went on for more than 2 hours debating this bill. So it was a really big deal. I want to give you the arguments for both sides of this bill, and then get your feedback on it and see what you all think. So those who support this bill feel that the 2014 American Counseling Association, the ACA, Code of Ethics, specifically Section A11B, which I would recommend you all go look up, limits the counselor's First Amendment rights, and therefore the counselor should be able to refuse services to someone based solely on a conflict with their personally held religious beliefs. Supporters say that such a conflict would make the counselor not the best fit to work with this client, and that a referral should be made. That's essentially in the nutshell what they are saying. The arguments for those that oppose this bill are actually quite a few. We have a long list of things that the opposition has a long list of things that they have to say about this, and this is a few of them. Essentially, legislating the ability to refuse services based on a religious belief of a counselor is essentially codifying, putting into code, the ability to discriminate against certain types of people and lifestyles. Secondly, this legislation would allow for a counselor to ignore a section of their profession's code of ethics, which is a profoundly important part of the profession, and could open the door to more legislation in the future about other sections of these codes of ethics. The third issue is that this legislation is unnecessary, as this profession already allows for and mandates that clients be referred for a variety of reasons when the counselor is found to not have the skills or competency to help that client. The difference is that it is never based solely on a counselor's personal beliefs, rather what is best for the client. Also, this bill takes the focus off the client and what is in their best interest and puts the focus on the counselor. Another issue is that this discrimination or refusal to work with a client based on a religious belief could ultimately cause more harm to the client and is in essence a form of abandonment of the client. And lastly, well not lastly, but the last one I will mention here, is this legislation presents a dangerous precedent for other similar professions and other legislation that would seek to supersede professional ethical codes and standards, which is one of the reasons the NSAW is so concerned with the bill. Basically, if they're going to go after the ACA codes of ethics, it's only a matter of time when the NASW's Code of Ethics might be called into question as well. So last week when I went and listened to the committee, the bill did not pass. It was not voted to pass through the subcommittee, but was rather put on what was called off notice, which was removed from the calendar, so the sponsor of the bill could make some recommended changes to the language. So then he brought it back this week, and yesterday the bill was heard again, but this time there was an amendment that changed the language of it from deeply held religious beliefs of the counselor, and is now changed to deeply held principles of the counselor. Everything else, as I described earlier, stays the same. The bill was passed yesterday to the full committee with this amendment attached. We will find out what happens to the bill next week. Besides being a part of and in the middle of all this significant piece of legislation, I was encouraged by my supervisor to participate, since I am in opposition personally. I feel this piece of legislation is wrong, and I'm in opposition to it. So I participated by emailing all the representatives on the subcommittee that listened to the bill over the past few weeks, and I was able to voice my opposition to the bill and some of the reasons why. I did this and actually received some responses to my email from the representatives, which was really great. So my question this week is what you all think of this bill and this issue. Would you support it or not? Please let me know if anything I said was unclear. I know I feel like I was kind of rambling, but if there's any questions or if you're confused by anything, comment and I will try to clear that up for you. Thank you, and I will talk to you all soon.